സദാശിവസമാരംഭാം ശങ്കരാചാര്യ മധ്യമാം അസ്മദ് ആചാര്യപര്യന്താം വന്ദേ ഗുരുപരമ്പരാം. Most respected Professor Gauri Mohlikar-ji, who is the soul of this academic soul of the Chinmaya International Foundation, the learned scholars on the dais and off the dais. First of all, when I got this invitation to present the paper, I was overjoyed simply because a leading Malayalam newspaper now coming up, Janmabhoomi, has taken up such a great cause to enlighten people, to spread this message of peace, social harmony, national integration, which is the most needed thing of the hour, of the day, or of the hour. So I congratulate Janmabhoomi and also our own Chinmaya International Short Sansthan, which is a national institution where I am associated for more than 5 years as the chairman. So it is something very special for me, this campus. Whenever I get an invitation, I never miss it. Positively, surely I will come here. In spite of my preoccupations, crowded preoccupations perhaps, simply because you also may share my feeling perhaps. Once you get into this campus, a current passes through our body and is kind of charging the battery, our life battery. I think nowhere, I remember Chinmayandaji, what Chinmayandaji told at the time of the inauguration of this great learning center, that this is the only spot in the entire Indian map you can pinpoint that here you have something. So, such a wonderful place that we are all benefited, we are blessed rather to come over here and give our salutations, our pranams to the great soul of our great Bharatavarsha, Jagadguru Adi Sankara Jayanthi. May I read my paper because time they told that is what is given earlier was just nearly 1 hour, but now it is reduced due to the paucity of time. So I will read the paper and whenever we require we will have some discussions. Jagadguru Adi Sankara Acharya, the highest intellectual the world has ever produced, was unique in the history of thought as he combined himself the best qualities of a poet, a philosopher, logician, sahridaya, devotee, mystic, interpreter, commentator, religious reformer, and a very great organizer. He was the architect of the monastic system of philosophy, and hence the system of thought is named after him. The popularity and recognition of this system of Indian metaphysics went to the extent of using the word Vedanta as a synonym of Advaita Vedanta, or better known Shankara Vedanta. Shankara never refuted totally any of the doctrines preached by his predecessors, but he denied the ultimate reality of those doctrines. All the other systems of Indian philosophy were given the status of upaya in Sankara philosophy. And that Ubaya to reach the Ubaya, that Lakshya, that is Advaita Vedanta. So Advaita Vedanta is the final destination. All other darshanas, all other philosophical systems are only the pathway to the Advaita Vedanta. The ascetic of ascetics, the philosopher of philosophers, the poet of poets, the reformer of reformers, the commentator of commentators, the acharya of all acharyas. Shankara throws behind him all the rishis and philosophers of the world. He lived only 32 years, but he scored centuries. Even he is scoring centuries. Thus, the great tribute by Madhusudan Saraswati comes like this: Nastaumitam vyasam asheshamartham samyena sutrairaviyo babandha vinapitaihi sangradhidakhilatham Sri Shankaram naumi sureshwaram cha. Sri Shankara based his philosophy of Advaita on the Vedantas of the Upanishads and the two other prasthanas, namely Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutras, which are dependent on the Upanishads only. For him, the Upanishads form the concluding portion of the Vedantas, and it is a secret doctrine communicated by the Guru and Shishya in confidence. Considering the Upanishads as a part of Veda, he distinguishes two sections of the Veda, the Aparavidya and the Paravidya portions, the Karma Kanda and the Jnana Kanda. They are distinct with different purposes and different subjects, and consequently different means are suggested for the attainment of those goals. The Purva Bhaga, that is the Karma Kanda portion, has Abhyudaya and Surga as its end, that is the Lakshya, and it deals with the Yaga, the sacrifices. Surga is not the final goal of man. It is long lasting but not everlasting. It is only a relative excellence and bliss. It is attained only if we perform the sacrifices and other karmas enjoined in the Vedas and with meticulous care. There are different types of long-standing lasting attainments as a result of these acts. But when the effect, that punya, is exhausted, one has to return to this humble, to this human abode. You heard in Kshine Punye Martya Logam Vishakti. Punyam Samadhikam. Punyam Samadhichu Vinyan. Out of Sogatri Guva. That is not something final. Once that currency of punya is exhausted, you have to return to this world and become part of what is sorrow and sadness of this world. So, there are different types of long-standing attainments as a result of these acts, but when the effect of the punya is exhausted, one has to return to this humble abode. It is pravritti marga which entangles you in the mesh of transmigration. The Upanishad speaks nivritti marga, just opposite to that. The inward path to self-realization, the realization of the individual self, that is one with the universal self. Only a person who has given up his desires for the attainments of the pleasures of the world and the other worlds, like Surga, that transverse this path to self-realization. The means are different, not the means for that what we mentioned about Karma Kanda. Jnana Kanda is having entirely different means. They are Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi Shakka, and Moksha. When one engenders in himself a strong desire for a release from this samsara, to get rid of from the samsara, he searches a true guru, a guide, who gives him the secret teaching. He listens to it. He deliberates upon it. He contemplates it and then assimilates it in such a way that he perceives the truth intuitively as immediate knowledge. It is a direct knowledge, sakshatkara. Normally the word sakshatkara is used only in Brahma sakshatkara, but nowadays we are using for our context, but that is not proper. That is only in Brahma sakshatkara, that is the only direct knowledge. So, the means are, as I told you, that he listens to it and deliberates on it, and it is in such a way that he perceives the truth intuitively as immediate knowledge. It is a direct knowledge where the Shruti is incidental instrumental. Veda is incidentally instrumental. The Shruti only helps seers in working up the disposition of self-realization. But self-realization is not, strictly speaking, the verbal cognition out of our knowledge of the Shruti alone. Shankara adopts the methods of interpretation of the Shrutis given by the Mimamsakas to a great extent. The main aids to achieve, the main aids to arrive at the purpose, that is Tatparya, of a text are the following according to the Mimamsakas. They are Upakrama, Upasamhara, Abhyasa, Apurvata, Bhalam, Arthavada, and Upapatti. The Mimamsa dictum is, actually it is called Arthegatva Tvad Egam Vakyam. There are scattered words, but all the words combine together and becomes a Mahavakya. The entire sense of the Vakyas. The Mimamsa dictum is Arthega Vakyatum, and all the text that has a single purport is one, it is a unified text and it is a Mahavakya, and the different sentences and portions being Avandhara Vakyas. It is not Mahavakyas, they are Avandhara Vakyas. They have unity of purpose. The different sentences are to be strung together in a thread and interpreted to arrive at the purport of the entire text. If necessary, the details given in different texts, distant texts, have to be taken together. Sometimes the gist of Prakarana is given in a nutshell, in a key sentence, which is exclusively owned to be Mahavakya in Vedanta. As you know, the four Mahavakyas. There are several other Mahavakyas in Veda, but these four are supposed to be the great Mahavakyas. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, like the I am Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, all these things. What is the crux of the Shankara's Advaita Vedanta? Can you say within one few sentences what is the crux? Such a great ocean, the Shankara Advaita. Can you put it in 2 or 3 sentences or make it very simple? What is the crux of Shankara's Advaita Vedanta? The crux is like this. The entire universe consists of 2 categories. That is Kshetra and Kshetrajna. The inanimate and the animate. That is the Jada and the Chaitanya. All his activities have the single purpose of getting happiness and avoiding grief. Normally human beings are like that. We want happiness. We don't want grief. He does not always succeed. We think in that way, but we never succeed. On the other hand, the Jivatma, the self, he means the self, gets inescapably enmeshed in the web created by himself. സ്വയം ഒരു വലയുണ്ടാക്കി ആ വലയിൽ നമ്മൾ കുടുങ്ങിയിരിക്കുക. He gets inescapably enmeshed in the web created by himself. Shastra says that his basic error is that he considers himself to be the body and searches for happiness outside. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ ഈ ശരീരമാണെന്നുള്ള ധാരണയാണ് ഏറ്റവും വലിയ തെറ്റ്. പക്ഷേ എപ്പോഴും നമുക്കുള്ള ധാരണയാണ് ഞാൻ ചടച്ചു, ഞാൻ വണ്ണം വെച്ചു, ഞാൻ ആരോഗ്യവാനായി, എൻ്റെ രോഗം മാറി, ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ പറയുമ്പോഴൊക്കെ നമ്മുടെ വ്യവഹാരം എപ്പോഴും ഞാൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എൻ്റെ ഈ ശരീരമാണെന്ന് തെറ്റിദ്ധരിച്ചിട്ടാണ്. So, in fact, actually it is bliss. So, Shastra says that his basic error is that he considers himself to be the body and searches for happiness outside him, even though, in fact, he is actually bliss himself. That he does not know this. That is his avidya, and mistaking the body for himself is his adhyasa. So these two technical terms, avidya and adhyasa. How I am not body? The Shishya asked the Guru. Why I am not the body? Then answer is, in deep sleep, sushupti, you have no connection with the body. You don't know that your body is there when you are in deep sleep. And you have no connection with the body, etc. And you enjoy your own natural self. സുഖമഹമസ്വാപ്സം നകിഞ്ചിത വേദിഷം. ഞാൻ സുഖമായിട്ട് ഉറങ്ങി, ഞാൻ ഒന്നും അറിഞ്ഞില്ല. അപ്പൊ സുഖമായി ഈ സുഖം എങ്ങനെയാണെന്ന് മനസ്സിലായി? That's the nature of the self. That is the nature of the self. Sukha is ananda, is the nature of our atma. And you enjoy your own natural bliss. Thus we say sukhamaham aswapsam nakinjida vedisham. If it is natural, why do I miss it while awake? ഇത് ശരിക്കും അതാണെങ്കിൽ എന്തുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ ഉണർന്നിരിക്കുമെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നില്ല നമുക്ക്? അതിനുള്ള മറുപടിയാണ്. It is because you commit the mistake of considering yourself as the body. That is the main problem. Why do I commit this mistake? That is the question. Again, it is because you do not know who you are and when you are totally free from the body, etc. Then who am I? You are Brahman, the very Brahman. Sankara in Ekashloki establishes in one shloka the wonderful master mind of Sankara. See how he, summarizes the entire theories and put in one shloka, that is Ekashloki. There he says, Kim Jyotistava Bhanumanahani Ratrau Pradeepadikam Syadevam Revilipa Darshanavithau Kim Jyotirakhyahime Chakshu Tasya Nimilanadi Samaye Kim Dhir Darshane Kim Tatraha Ado Bhavan Paramagam Jyotistadasmi Prato. So, I am not taking much time to illustrate this sloka. This sloka is available and with the commentary and Malayalam translation and studies. So you have to check this sloka. It is wonderful how this sloka, he answers the entire doubts and clear the entire doubts and answer all questions which prevail in the field of Vedanta. This sloka gives us the difference between the drik and drishya, the animate and the inanimate. That is kshetrajna and kshetra, as I told you. What is Brahman? Again, Shishya asks. It is the material cause of this whole universe, including your body. Mundagopanishad states with a beautiful example to this cardinal Advaitic principle. Thus, यथोर्णनाभिसृजते गृह्णदेव यथा पृथिव्यां औषधयः सम्भवन्ति यथा सतः पुरुषात् केशलोमानि तथा अक्षरात् सम्भवति विश्व. So very beautifully says that, see, for Brahman there is only one upamana available in the world. ബ്രഹ്മനോട് ഉപമിക്കാവുന്ന ഒന്നൊരു സ്ഥാനമേ ഉള്ളൂ, അത് എട്ടുകാരിയാണ്. നമുക്ക് എത്ര നിഷ്ഠയുള്ള ജീവിയാണ് എട്ടുകാരി, അതിനോടാണ് ബ്രഹ്മത്തിനെ ഉപമിക്കുന്നത് ശങ്കർ ഉപനിഷത്ത് ഋഷി. കാര്യം മനസ്സിലാവാനാണ്. എട്ടുകാരിയുടെ ഫംഗ്ഷൻ എന്താണ്? എട്ടുകാരി തൻ്റെ ശരീരത്തിൽ നിന്ന് തന്നെ നൂലുണ്ടാക്കുന്നു. ആ നൂല് ആവശ്യം കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ശരീരത്തിലേക്ക് പിൻവലിക്കുന്നു. ഇത് എട്ടുകാലിക്ക് മാത്രമേ ഈ പ്രപഞ്ചത്തിലെ ഈശ്വര സൃഷ്ടികളിൽ ഈ ശക്തിയുള്ളത്. ഇങ്ങനെ ഉത്പാദിപ്പിക്കാനും അതിനെ തിരിച്ചു പിൻവലിക്കാനും കഴിയുന്ന ഈ ഇതുണ്ടല്ലോ, ആ സിദ്ധി എട്ടുകാലിക്ക് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. അതുകൊണ്ട് ബ്രഹ്മത്തിനെ ഓർമ്മിക്കാൻ ഒരേ ഉള്ളൂ. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഋഷി എട്ടുകാലിയെ, അതായത് ഊർണനാഭി എട്ടുകാലിയാണ്. യഥാ ഊർണനാഭി സൃജതേ ഗൃഹദേവ യഥാ പൃഥിവ്യാം ഓഷധയ സംഭവം. പിന്നെ അതർ analogies and examples are given. How do I understand that I am Brahman? Brahman is Satyam, that is unchanged. Satyam, what is the meaning of Satyam? Unchanging. ഒരു കാലത്ത് മാറാത്തത്, അതാണ് സത്യം. ജ്ഞാനം, സത്യം ജ്ഞാനം അനന്തം ബ്രഹ്മാണ്. ബ്രഹ്മം എന്താണ്? സത്യമാണ്, ജ്ഞാനമാണ്, അനന്തമാണ്. ഇതിനെ പറയാണ് സത്യം, that is unchanging. That stuff which takes the form of various knowledge, and that is jnana. And while remaining unchanging in itself, and anandam, that is unlimited in every sense of the word. So these are the three things: satyam, jnanam, anandam. Upanishad starts Upanishad mantra starts satyam, jnanam, anandam, brahma. So that same thing he has quoted in the Govinda Ashtaka and such a great his stotra also saying that. So unlimited in every sense, and the anandam, that is unlimited, unlike Brahman. Then the very nature of Brahman is anandam, that is bliss. It is one and only one because it is jnana. The truth revealed in Upanishads is being used several times in his stotras, like Govinda Ashtaka, as I told you. The Govinda Ashtaka starts with this Upanishadic expression of Brahman. Satyam jnanam anandam nityamanagasham paramagasham goshthaprangana ringhana lolamanayasam paramayasam maya kalpitananagaram anagaram bhuvanagaram kshmamanadhamanadham pranapata govindam paramanandam. You mean to say, the Shishya again asks, you mean to say that I am this Brahman? Yes. Answer from Guru. How you are yourself Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam in deep sleep? Then why do I miss this bliss while awake? ഉറക്കത്തിൽ എനിക്ക് കിട്ടുന്ന, സുഷുപ്തിയിൽ എനിക്ക് കിട്ടുന്ന ഈ ആനന്ദമൊക്കെ ഉണരുമ്പോൾ ഇല്ലാതെ ആവുന്ന എന്തുകൊണ്ട് എന്ന് ചോദിക്കാം. Because you wrongly think that you are the body. Do you mean to say that I will never miss it if I avoid this mistake? Exactly. That is called self-realization. How does it come about? അതെങ്ങനെ നമുക്ക് ചിന്തിക്കാം, പ്രാപിക്കാൻ എങ്ങനെ കഴിയും? How it comes? To begin with, അതിനെ കുറിച്ച് പണി. ഈ ക്വസ്റ്റൻ ആൻസർ പോലെ അത്ര എളുപ്പമല്ല. To start with, Sankara says, to begin with, one should give up asuri gunas and cultivate daivi gunas. And he should desire worldly desires only within the ambit of dharma. That is the main thing. നമുക്ക് ധർമ്മം എന്താണോ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത് അത് മാത്രമേ നമ്മൾ ആഗ്രഹിക്കാവൂ. അതിൻ്റെ അപ്പുറം ചെയ്യാം. അതിൻ്റെ അപ്പുറം ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഈ ലോകത്തിലെ എല്ലാ കലാപങ്ങളും. ഭാരതവർഷത്തിൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ കോൺട്രിബ്യൂഷൻ ഈ സംഗതി ധർമ്മ ആൻഡ് ബ്രഹ്മ, ഈ രണ്ട് സംഗതികളാണ് ഭാരതവർഷം മുന്നോട്ട് വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഏറ്റവും വലിയ രണ്ട് വലിയ പ്രിൻസിപ്പിൾസ്. So to begin with, one should give up asuri gunas and cultivate daivi gunas. He should desire worldly desires only within the ambit of dharma, that is ethics. Later on, he should give up worldly desires also and do only nishkama karma. That is the second stage, with a purified mind. This is the fundamental social and ethical step in the search of supreme jnana for a seeker. Today's topic starts from here. How the what we call the social and ethical step. These are the steps. These two steps we have mentioned now. These are the steps. Then, through Shastra, Shravana. Shravana means not simply what we are hearing now, it is only ordinary sound. Not that. You have to hear Shastra. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, three things our professor has mentioned here. That first of all, the Shravana is Shastra Shravana. That is, Upanishad. You have to hear Upanishads. You have to hear Vedanta passages. That is the Shastra Shravana and Manana. Manana is Chindana, Chindikana. Adine Chindika. Appa ketta Shastra ellano, adine kurichu Mananam cheya, Chindika. And Nididhyasana, ultimately one leads to self-realization. It is clear that dharma or ethics is the first and foremost foundation stone for social life and of the final goal of life, that is self-realization. Sri Sankara, while elaborates the prerequisite of a real seeker, he undoubtedly doctrinates the eventuality of satsanga. He says that without satsanga you cannot achieve anything. The very first step is satsanga. നല്ല ആളുകളോട് കൂടി ചേരുക, നല്ലപോലെ ചിന്തിക്കുന്ന, നല്ല പ്യൂരിഫൈഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സാത്വികന്മാരായിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകളുടെ കൂടെ സത്സംഗത്തിന്റെ ശക്തി വളരെ വലുതാണ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നു. He says in Bhajagovindam, the great work of Adi Shankaracharya, Satsangatve Nisangatvam, Nisangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nisaladatvam, Nisaladatve Jivan Muktihi, and this sloga establishes very well. The great sentence Tatvamasi, occurring in the 6th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, is generally considered as the most epoch-making statement ever made in the history of Indian philosophy. It proclaims, according to Sankara, the great metaphysical truth of the identity of the self with Brahman. നമ്മുടെ ജീവാത്മാവും പരമ ചൈതന്യവും തമ്മിൽ, ഈശ്വര ചൈതന്യവും ഈ ബ്രഹ്മ ചൈതന്യവും തമ്മിലുള്ള അഭേദത, വ്യത്യസ്തതയില്ലായ്മ, ഒന്നായിരിക്കൽ, ഐഡന്റിറ്റി, അതിനെക്കുറിച്ചാണ് ഇത് പറയുന്നത്. So, the ultimate reality. In the tradition of Advaita Vedanta, all later preceptors also have interpreted Tatvamasi as implying the metaphysical identity of the self. But a question may be raised here. Can Tatvamasi be interpreted also as an ethical concept which brings social harmony? Today's topic is social harmony. This session especially, social harmony. Whether, a very direct question, whether this Tatvamasi can be interpreted. We interpret it philosophically. Tatvamasi we interpret normally. Sankara also interpreted in philosophical way. But he has given some clues in the Sankara Bhashya that it can be interpreted in empirical level also, in mundane level also, in the worldly level also it can be interpreted. And but a question may be raised whether can Tatvamasi be interpreted also as an ethical concept which brings social harmony. Can we deduce that by reason of this identity one should have love towards others, or can we safely accept this as a moral maxim, as a guiding principle in the day-to-day life of a democratic world for social harmony and national? Why you say national? When you speak about Sankara Advaita, you can say international or universal integration, we can say. Loga samasta sukhino bhavantu, vasudhaiva kudumbakam. So, Sankara Advaita has a great canvas. It should be interpreted in a universal way. The idea of personality as the central concept of dualistic systems seems to lie at the root of the view that Tatvamasi is against religion and ethics and social harmony. The dualistic systems take the personality or personality or ego of the individual and its differences as a basic requisite for ethics. Here the question may be asked, is it not the negation of individuality as the root of ethics rather than its affirmation? Individuality നെഗേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണോ അത് എഫേം ചെയ്യണോ എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. from experience, it is found that the latter is the basis of active ethics and social harmony. That is identity. For example, when a man sacrifices himself for the sake of others, what is involved is the negation of individuality and not its affirmation. The dualistic concept of personality as real is in sharp contrast with that of Sankara. For Sankara, as long as the illusion of the personality remains, one cannot be truly ethical. Essential difference of individuals is incompatible with active ethics. For him, identity of the self is the root of ethics. That is, identifying oneself with others and thus negates one's own individuality. The significant question here seems to be whether this identity is affirmed in action or in the mere conceptual thought. ഈ ഐഡന്റിറ്റി നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നെങ്കിലും ഇതുപോലെ തത്വത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞത് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, അത് ലോകത്തിലെ ഈ വ്യവഹാരം ഇത് പ്രായോഗികമാണ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ചോദ്യം. Sankara says yes, it is 100% practical. So, the doctrine of the Tatvamasi is not something to be confined to the conceptual thought alone. അത് വെറും തത്വപ്രവചനം മാത്രമല്ല, ലോകത്തിൽ വളരെ തത്വമസി എന്നുള്ളത് ഏറ്റവും ലോകത്തിൽ വ്യവഹാരമായ ഒന്നാണ്, വളരെ വ്യാഖ്യാന സാധ്യതയുള്ളതാണ്. It must manifest in corresponding actions. A clue to this idea can be seen in Sankara's own statements scattered in his Bhagavad Gita Bhashya. In the context of the question of performing altruistic deeds, that means Loka Sangrahartham Karma. Loka Sangraham Loka Nanma. Loka Sangraham Sangraham Nanma. Loka Sangrahartham Karma. ലോകത്തിന്റെ മുഴുവൻ നന്മയ്ക്ക് വേണ്ടി പ്രവർത്തിക്കുക. അവിടെ കാര്യങ്ങളുടെ കേരളം Sankara says, everywhere in spiritual science, the very characteristics of successful yogins as thought as the means to attain that state, since they can be attained by effort. The characteristics of a realized soul is given in the Bhagavad Gita in the description of the Sthita Prajna and Munadi. Those who are familiar with Gita slokas, immediately these points will come there. How Gitakara is explaining very beautifully, very authentically, very practically, very wisely the qualities of Sthita Prajna. And here, several qualities like compassion, which are needed when we are discussing about social harmony and national integration or universal integration, whatever it may be, all these good things. It is well explained in Bhagavad Gita, and it is the what we call the description of the as here several qualities like compassion. Explain compassion, non-violence, interest in the well-being of all living beings. All these are possible through Vedanta. All these are possible through the interpretation of Tatvamasi, which are accepted as a basic principles of democracy, are mentioned as characteristics of realized souls. The justification for cultivating these virtues is the doctrine of Tatvamasi, which is the alpha and omega of Sankara's ethics. Thus, Advaita doctrine advocates for true ethics and social harmony. I skipped some pages here because Dr. Sudarshan, my friend, is the director of the Chinmaya International Foundation. He told that he will collect all these papers and publish. So you will read full text at that time. But I want to skip because of time. I permitted that is over now. About 5 minutes more I will take and I will finish it. The doctrine of the identity of the spirit can thus legitimately interpreted as an ethical concept. Tatvamasi എന്നുള്ള ഈ രണ്ട് തം ത്വം തത് എന്നുള്ളതുണ്ടല്ലോ അതിൻ്റെ ഐഡന്റിറ്റി, The doctrine of the identity of the spirit can thus legitimately be interpreted as an ethical concept. It is the affirmation of this principle in every activity of man that makes man really ethical. So long as one clings to one's individuality or private ego, one is unethical. That is the concept of Sankara Advaita. When one slowly and steadily negates one's individuality by identifying oneself actively with others, only then can he be a really ethical person, an ethical man. Really ethical. We know that the difference between one man and another exists empirically. At worldly level, at empirical level, at mundane level, we have differences. But that is only at that level only. But when you go deeper, the sense is same. So identity is the main thing. We know that the difference between one man and another exists empirically, but this bare difference is not in any way as an incentive for active love. Ethics of active love, in fact, develops when one slowly gives up the idea of ultimate difference and tries to establish a relationship with others, a relationship which in the end is one of identity. And true ethics and social harmony are possible only at this stage of identification. Now I will skip some more places. The tendency now coming to my last, but in between I have to conclude, anyway or other. Time is only very little. The implementing this to the present day, the Neo-Vedantins, how they look at this great dictum, how they have interpreted the tendency of the Neo-Vedantins, like Vivekananda, starting from Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi and such great people, Narayana Guru and Chinmayananda ji and all these great rishis, they are having towards interpreting Advaita doctrine, Tattvamasi, as an ethical concept. The two great Advaitins of modern India, Swami Vivekananda and Mahatma Gandhi, have based all their practical ethics on the non-duality of the spirit preached by Shankara. Shankar's Advaitate ആധാരമായിട്ടാണ് രണ്ടുപേരും പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളത്. About the golden rule, love your neighbor as thyself. Swami Vivekananda observes here, though all religions have taught ethical precepts, such as do not kill, do not injure, love your neighbor as thyself, etc. So many things are there, yet none of these have given the reason. No world philosopher has given the reason why you do not injure your neighbor. What is harm in it? You can injure. Why that protest? Why it negates? It clearly says that yet none of them have given the reason. Why should I not injure my neighbor? To this question, there was no satisfactory or conclusive answer forthcoming until it was evolved by the great metaphysical speculations of the Hindus, who could not rest satisfied with the mere dogmas. So the Hindus say that this Atman is absolute and all-pervading. എൻ്റെ ആത്മാവ് തന്നെയാണ് എല്ലാത്തിലും വ്യാപിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ആരെ ഉപദ്രവിച്ചാലും ആരെ കൊന്നാലും എന്നെ കൊല്ലുന്നതിന് തുല്യമാണ്. ആരോട് ഹിംസ കാണിച്ചാലും ആ ഹിംസ എന്നോട് തന്നെയാണ് കാണിക്കുന്നത്. Advaitam go to that extent and explains. This is what said by Vivekananda. That is the real, what we call the horse mouth of Hindus, the talk. Therefore, by injuring one's neighbor, the individual actually injures himself. This is the basic metaphysical truth underlying all ethical codes, and that we call ethics and morality and doing well to others. Swami Vivekananda declares, is all about but the manifestation of this oneness. This expression of oneness is what we call love and sympathy and it is the basic of all our ethics and morality, which materializes social harmony and universal integration. Swami Vivekananda fully realizes that if the basic difference is ultimate, it is difficult to give a logical place for ethical actions involving self-sacrifice and self-negation. Swami Vivekananda founded, actually, very firmly the idea of Tatvamasi, the Mahavakya, in the wider canvas of social harmony. It brings the basics of democracy. Several ethical ideas of Mahatma Gandhi had its basis in the Sankara's theory of the identity of spirit. On the basis of the non-dualistic theory of the self, Gandhiji gave a new definition and interpretation of the ethics. Gandhiji frankly declares, I am an Advaitist, yet I can support Dvaitism. He says, I am Advaitist, എനിക്ക് ദ്വൈതത്തെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പ്രയാസമില്ല. കാരണം എന്താ, ബേസിക് അദ്വൈതമാണെന്ന് എനിക്കറിയാം, ദ്വൈതം അതിൻ്റെ സൂപ്പർ ലെവലിലാണ് അറിയാം. എന്നിട്ട് അദ്ദേഹം പറയാണ്, yet I can support the Dvaitism. Again, the soul of omnipresent, why should he care to be confirmed within the cage, the cage-like body, and do evil and even kill for the sake of the cage? We thus arrive at the ideal of the total renunciation. Total renunciation. It is അതൊന്ന് ശരിയായിട്ട് ആനന്ദം ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ എന്നാണ്. You have to renunciate, but some people who say സന്യസിച്ചു പറയും. എന്തിനാണ് സന്യസിച്ചതെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അവർക്ക് അറിയില്ല. എന്തിനാണ് സന്യസിച്ചത് ഈ ടോട്ടൽ റിനൗൺസിയേഷൻ വേണം, എല്ലാറ്റിനോടും ഉപേക്ഷ വേണം. അതിലാണ് റിയൽ ആനന്ദം ഉണ്ടാവുക. ഒരു ആഗ്രഹം ഇല്ലാത്തവരുണ്ടാവുന്ന ആനന്ദം വേറെ ഒരു സ്വതേ നമ്മൾ വിചാരിക്കുക ആഗ്രഹം ഉണ്ടാവുക അത് നടന്നാൽ അതിലെ വലിയ ആനന്ദം എന്നാണ്. അത് വളരെ നൈമിഷികമാണ്, വളരെ നൈമിഷികമാണ്. പക്ഷേ ഒരു ആനന്ദം ആഗ്രഹം ഇല്ലാതിരിക്കുന്ന അവർക്കുണ്ടാവുന്ന ആനന്ദം എന്താണെന്ന് അത് ഓൺലി ത്രൂ യുവർ നിധിധ്യാസന യു ക്യാൻ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ഇറ്റ്. ആൻഡ് this Shankara goes to the extent of saying that working for the welfare of others itself is ahimsa. Shankara in Gita Bhashya says, he explained, I think Gandhiji got this from Gita, that even ahimsa, he is telling that it has a great connotation, and he says that this perhaps a lofty and unique character of integration and democracy which has been first revealed by Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya. From his early days, Shankara is being extolled as Jagadguru and Bhagavad-pada, that Professor Gauri Molikar here was told. Shankara is the only guru in the world who is, the epithet is given, that Jagadguru and Bhagavad-pada. This is not given to any other person. So the Jagadguru and Bhagavad-pada, because of his revealing of this great cardinal principle of ahimsa, which brings social harmony and universal integration. It was perhaps from this statement of Shankara that even Gandhiji got the clue and built up the practical ethics. Once Gandhiji wrote in Young India, I don't believe that an individual may gain spirituality when all that surrounds him suffer. ഉള്ളൂരൊരു കവിതയിൽ പറയുന്നത്, ചുറ്റുമുള്ളവർ മുഴുവൻ ലോകത്തിൽ സങ്കടപ്പെട്ടിരുന്ന പലതുകൊണ്ടും പ്രയാസപ്പെട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഒറ്റയ്ക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ ഇരുന്ന് ബ്രഹ്മപദത്തിലെത്താൻ ചിന്തിക്കുന്നത് സ്വാർത്ഥല്യത്തിൽ. നിങ്ങൾ മാത്രം തത്വജ്ഞാനിയായി നിങ്ങളെ ബ്രഹ്മജ്ഞാനം വലിയ ആനന്ദം അനുഭവിക്കാനായിട്ട് ബ്രഹ്മസാക്ഷാത്കാരത്തിന് പ്രയത്നിക്കുന്നത് ശരിയാണോ? നിങ്ങൾ ചുറ്റുമുള്ള ആളുകളെയൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് കാണണ്ടേ, അവരുടെ സങ്കടവും നിങ്ങൾ ഓർക്കണ്ടേ? അതുകൂടി ഉൾക്കൊള്ളാനുള്ളൊരു ഇന്റർപ്രിട്ടേഷൻ ഈ തത്വമസിയിൽ സാധ്യമാണെന്ന് ഗാന്ധിജി പറയുന്നു. And I believe in Advaita. These are the words of Gandhiji. I believe in Advaita. I believe in the essential unity of man, and for that matter of all that lives. The moral and religious ideals of Gandhiji, thus to a great extent, is being influenced by the doctrines of Tatvamasi in the background of social harmony and democracy, of which basics are Satyam, Samatvam and Swatantra. Hence, it becomes true like daylight that Advaita philosophy preached and analyzed by Sri Shankaracharya is the powerful instrument to bring social harmony and national, or rather universal integration, which directly brings peace in the world at large. With these observations, I beg to remain. Actually, my paper, I have read only 1/3 of the paper. This is totally typed, 23 pages are there in A4 size. So, matters there. But due to positive time, I should do justice to other speakers also. So, I beg to remain. It is a great privilege and great fortune, and a great, what we call, it is a privilege. It is a great fortune that I could come here and give my pronouns to Adi Shankaracharya, his maternal home, and with these few observations, I beg to remain. Thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Yoga Shankaram.
Thank you, sir.